Our team is zinc sulfide, and we are going to perform case study for point 2. Parker Sister is a company who are experts in manufacturing high-quality pens and pencils with lifetime warranties, but without diversity and trim. Joy Script, as the president and the CEO of the company, wants to seize the opportunity to establish a particular position in the writing instrument market for his company. And we need to help him to set up the LP model and answer some questions. This is the problem variables. In this table, we can see per unit profit for the per unit profit is $3 for the ballpoint pen and the mechanical pencil, and $5 for the fountain pen. And this is the model formulation that is provided by Joy. Our goal is to maximize the total profit, and we have 3 constraints that are related to the available materials. X1, X2, and X3 are the number of ballpoint pens, mechanical pencils, and fountain pens. And this is the model. In this model, we can clearly see the total profit is $2,766.67.
Okay, so we have some questions here, and actually we have quite a few questions that Joe wants to have answered. And so instead of reading every single one to you, which would take a while, they kind of break down into the first 3 questions are asking something about the optimal solution with the current resource mix that they have, and then just asking if that's optimal solution and doing some analysis of that. The 4th question is just asking what the marginal value of chrome and plastic are. And then the next few questions, so 5 and 6 here, and then 7 and 8, are asking questions about what happens if we change the resource mix, either by giving away resources at a price or by buying more at certain prices in certain quantities or lots. So in this case, there's 2 different ways to buy it. One is if we buy it in one big bulk purchase of 500 ounces, and what will that do to our solution? And then also if we do it instead of 2 smaller or 3 or 4 smaller 100-ounce solutions, or 100-ounce blocks, what would that do if we buy it for these prices? And then question 9 is sort of this question about if we have extras or if we have to sell some of our product to another company who's not a competitor, what will that do to our product mix? And then the next one is, number 10 is a question from the supplier saying, what happens if we can't fulfill your order? Will that hurt you? Is that a good thing? Can we do something? So how should Joe respond to that? Should he put a penalty in there? What should he do for that? And then these next questions here are discussing kind of the idea of what happens if we change selling prices of something, or if we make new products or redesign existing products. How is that going to affect the way that the Parker Sisters does business and the way that we make these products? And then, again, that's what this stuff is asking some questions about if we decide to make certain products, or in a sense in this one, it's like, what's the price for the pencil, or what should we do for, if we make 20 pencils, what will that do to our product mix? And if we increase, say, the price of our fountain pen because we're interested in selling it closer to what the competitors are selling it for, what will that do to our total profit? So, pass it back here.
From this figure, we can find the plastic and the stainless steel are binding constraints, and the chrome are not binding. And this is our sensitive report. And for the question 1, we're looking for the product mix, and our optimal solution is 700 for the ballpoint pen and 133 for the fountain pen, and our final value is $2,766.7. And the question 2, this optimal solution is not degenerate because the allowable increase and the decrease coefficient are not 0. Question 3, the optimal solution is unique because the allowable increase and the decrease coefficient in the decision variable cells are also not 0. So so the solution is unique. And the marginal value of each material is indicated by the shadow price. The outlines indicate the shadow price of here. The chrome is 0 because it's unbinding constraint, and for the plastic, its marginal value is 1.17 cents. Question 5, the company should the company buy 500 ounces of stainless steel for 60 cents more per ounce than the usual price, and 500 ounces is within the allowable increase. So, and the shadow price is more than the added charge per ounce. So this company should buy 500 ounces of stainless steel, and it will result in increasing $100 in the total profit. Question 6, if the company buys 500 ounces of stainless steel for 60 cents more per ounce than the usual price, the right-hand side constraint changes, which changes the feasible region. As a result, the model had to be run again with the new constraint. And the new total profit is 2,866.67 cents, and we should make 500 for the ballpoint pen, 0 for mechanical pencil, and 333 for the fountain pen.
Go back 1 second here. Let's go back. And you'll notice here that the total price is actually $100 more than the previous total price, so exactly what we calculated from question 5. So there's something to mention that what we said would happen actually happened when we reran the model. So question 7, the question is, should the company buy 500 ounces for $6 or an additional $1 per ounce, so meaning that it's a $1 increase to their total cost, so $1 less profit? And the answer to that is no, they shouldn't. And the reason for that is that 500 ounces is not within the allowable increase. And so if we do that, we find out that the additional cost, we will only increase by that 200, because then we'll run into other constraints, so it won't help us. So the additional cost will be basically we have to buy the whole chunk, but we can only make another 200. So it'll be like we're adding a lot more per item. So what that means is that using the shadow price from what we can see here, we'll end up with a $266 reduction in the price if we did that.
Can you explain that again?
So the additional cost, we have to buy all 500 ounces, but we can only use 200 of it because we run into another constraint. Our stainless steel doesn't allow us to use more than 200 ounces of it. And then what that means is that if we do that, it's $1 times 500 or $500, but we can only use 200 of it. So it's like saying that we've paid more for the extra 200 that we're getting.
But if you're not using it, so we don't buy it.
You have to buy, in this case, you have to buy 500. They will only sell you a $500 lot. Otherwise, we can't buy, say, 200 like we'd like to. We can only buy, for this question, for question 7, they said that you sell it in 500 only. So you have to, it's 500 or nothing.
Okay.
So for this, if we buy all 500, this is what we figured would be the change in price for it.
Okay. Yeah, because this case study is like a question after question, so maybe we'll just stop you guys.
Yeah.
Ask questions
You-
here.
you're wondering probably about question 8, which is the next question, which has the question about what happens if we only buy 200.
Okay.
So if we go to the only buying 200 here, which is question 8, so we can buy in 100-ounce lots instead of 500-ounce lots. In that case, we can buy the 200 ounces, and that will actually increase our profit because it's this $1.17 of a shadow price, and then we buy it for $1. So basically, what it ends up being is a 17 cents adder, which ends up giving us $34 more to our total model, which puts us right around 2,800 with some rounding. So yeah, the previous question and this question are very similar. The previous question you're asking for 500 at once, which means you're only using, 200 out of the 500, but you still have to pay the cost of the full 500, which is where it gets interesting.
Okay, can you go back to question 7?
Yes.
Why are you saying that you are only using the 200?
That's the amount that we have as allowable increase, and that's when we tried this and we said, okay, well, we think we can use all 500, and we actually tried rerunning the model because we were curious, and we thought, we went above the allowable increase, which meant we'd have to rerun the model,
Right.
and we did, and it stuck with 200. It didn't go beyond that. It constrained at 200 due to other constraints, not due to that. So even though we had 1,500 available, it became a non-binding constraint and locked us there. So we figured it was due to that allowable increase. Kind of a question that we thought that that's the way it was, but we maybe not understand it completely correctly.
Okay. So they can hear that. So for this question, I think just based on the sensitivity analysis report, what we know is that beyond that 200 units, the shadow price will change. But we don't know what's the impact will be, what the shadow price will be. If you rerun it, and you probably will find, okay, after the 200 units, then the shadow price probably changed to be 0.
It did, yes.
Because it becomes the non-binding constraint. Okay, yeah, but just based on this sensitivity analysis, we won't, answer saying that we don't know what the impact will be would be good enough.
Okay.
Yeah, but you did some extra work to run the model.
Yep.
And then estimate, a guess of the shadow price will be 0. Beyond that 200 is reasonable. But we're not sure. Okay.
Okay. Well, that clarifies it. Thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Chen. So then in question 8, we buy the 200 there. And so then we get to, and we resolved the model because it asked us to, and found out that basically we only make ballpoint pens, which might be a bad thing because now we're only making one kind of product out of our 3, but that happened to be that this, the sensitivity report is not from the new model. We just put that there. We could have shown the sensitivity report. All it would do is move D10 would be 1,000 and everything else would be 0 for the final values. So the next question is, if the company was offered to buy, another company offered to buy 300 ounces of plastic from the Parkett sisters, should we sell it to them? Is that a reasonable thing? So when we did the analysis, we said, okay, we're selling it for $6.50, but we were told that our cost was $5. And since the amounts that we're making on things at the original part of the model were profits, we had to convert that into a profit and say that it's $1.50 more than our sale price. So in a sense, if we sold it to this company, we'd be making $1.50 of profit. So if we look into that, we can say, okay, we look at this, 466.7 is our allowable decrease without changing our shadow price of this item. And so if we look at that and say, okay, if we took the shadow price minus that from the amount of increase here, we can say we'd probably make an additional $100 on this model if we did that, and that would maintain that shadow price. So by doing that, we should end up with $100 more in our total profit from selling this plastic. So it's a good idea. We should do it. It makes more money for the company. So the next question is, if the chrome supply is decreased by 200 ounces due to the supplier issue where the supplier may not be able to produce all the chrome that we need, is that a problem? And the answer here is no, it's not, because chrome isn't a binding constraint, and we have an allowable decrease of 333, and 200 is way less than that. So it won't hurt us if they do that. Now, if the company starts buying more of other products and that allowable decrease shrinks, then they would have to be worried about that chrome supplier if they started to increase production using more ounces from everything else. But in this case, it's not going to hurt us. We don't really mind. In fact, it's actually probably a little bit less we're paying for, so it might actually help profits because we have less on the shelf. Because currently, they're going to have around a little bit less than 400 ounces every month that is waiting there on the shelf. So the next question was this question about this new mechanical pencil design, and they should accept it because if we do that, that using our shadow prices should increase, or excuse me, yeah, mechanical pencil design, that should increase, it should be increasing the price of that mechanical pencil, so making more profit because we end up with 19 cents extra based on our shadow price. And so that should increase and will actually help our profit there just a little bit if we do that.
The 19 cents?
It's, did we do the math wrong?
What about you guys?
Unless we did the math wrong.
You probably did the math wrong.
Oops. Sorry. There's a lot of questions in this, a lot of places to mistake.
I think it's 12 cents.
Is it 12 cents?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we must have missed something. My apologies for that.
Okay, but the formula is correct.
Yeah, we must have just.
Like the total cost per unit, the part that is correct.
Okay. So, yeah, we must have just made a mistake on that.
Okay.
And so then, question 12, just moving on, is if we decrease the ballpoint pen's profit by 50 cents, what will happen? Will that change our product mix? And the answer is no, because if you look in the allowable decrease, you find out that that is within that allowable decrease, so it doesn't change these final values because our coefficients can change by that much. So there's no change in it, it just means we're going to make less money. So if you look at it, it means we're going to make basically $350 less because that's the decrease. And then question 13 was if we have a felt tip pen that has these characteristics up here, what do we need to sell it for? And in our analysis here, hopefully we did the math right, the analysis is we need to sell it for as much as pi, so 3.14. So if we sell it for 3.14 or more, then we're going to make something on it. It's going to be worth it. Otherwise, we shouldn't make this product. And then the selling price, we were asking, can we make the pencil? How can we make it where we actually make some of them? And the answer to that is if we look at our allowable increase here of our selling price for our pencils, so the coefficient, we need to increase it by at least 1.38 to make it so we start making them, so a little bit more than that. So this is rounded here, so it's actually 1.38, but Excel has rounded it to a single decimal place, which is why we get the 0.4.
Okay.
So we need to increase it there. We rounded that to 1.38. It's probably actually like 1.39. It has to be greater than this.
Okay. Okay, so for this one, I think you mentioned you look at the reduced cost part, right?
Yes.
And that negative 1.4 is the same with this 1.38.
Yes, they're rounded.
Yeah. So I think the reduced cost is the right place to look.
Right place to look. Okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's not the allowable increase because the allowable increase is only the part that for your solution to remain to be the same, right? But the reduced cost part is the impact on your total profit.
Okay, so we should use the
Yeah,
reduced cost.
yeah,
Okay.
they are the same, and they are the same. That makes sense in this case because when if you look at what's the coefficient, I mean, what's the allowable increase?
It's 1.3.
No, I mean, what does it measure? It's the allowable increase of the profit of the mechanical pencil, right?
Yep.
And in this case, if you increase more than that, that means the profit of that mechanical pencil is going to increase. So it start to make sense to make more mechanical pencil.
Yep.
Yeah, so
become
that's
part
why
of
it's the
final
same.
value may change.
Right, and that's why it's the same with reduced cost. And when it increases to that level, say if the coefficient, the objective function coefficient of the mechanical pencil, which is the unit profit of the mechanical pencil, increase by more than 1.38, then you won't have a reduced cost, which is negative. The reduced cost will be 0 because it starts to make sense to make money to make this mechanical pencil. It's the same, but to answer this question, using the reduced cost will be the right place.
Okay, the right place.
Okay.
Okay, another oops in our calculations. So basically, if we use this, it'd be 4.4, so we'd have to increase the price by that, so making them $4.40 or greater to make it so we start producing some of them using the model.
Yeah, like in this question, if you move that the blue border to the reduced cost part, will be perfect.
Okay, so move the blue border. We'll do that.
Okay.
And then question 15 is if we wanted to produce 20 mechanical pencils, what would happen to our profit? Well, it basically is this reduced cost here. We would end up with this reduced cost, and I think we made the same mistake here, used the wrong one, but it would be minus 1.4, and this would be
No, it's the same. It's
1.38.
1.38.
Okay, in this
It's
case.
the same with the reduced cost. If you like increase the decimal point digit,
Okay.
for this one it will be 1.38. So it's fine.
So in this case, what I mean, if we made 20 mechanical pencils, would be that we'd actually reduce our profit by 2760, and so we take that final value and subtract 2760, and that would be our final profit. So it's not too much impact into the final value, but it is a reduction in profit to this company. That's like a movie, going out to see a movie once a week. And then question 16 says if the profit on a fountain pen is $6.75 instead of $5, what would happen? And since our allowable increase is slightly above this $1.75 increase, I mean, it's really, really close.
What you say?
It's, yeah, I highlighted it.
Okay.
Whoops, sorry. It's this right here. I didn't highlight it, but it's really, really small, but it allows that increase of $1.75 here. So we're bumping up right on that edge. If we added another penny, if we made it $1.76, then it would change our solution. But in this case, the $1.75 is within that allowable increase. So we would keep the same profit mix, or same final value, the same mix of manufacturing. We just would make more money on one of them, so it would increase our total profit slightly. And then that's it. Any questions, anybody?
Do you forget?
Almost got away with it.
Like, yeah, to this one. Did you guys have other solutions to this one? Other answers to this one?
Well, it comes to 3,000, but it's the same way.
Okay.
Since you're within your allowable increase, you'll make, you just multiply the final value by the difference, which is $1.75, and that gives you $3,000 still.
Okay.
And I actually resolved it and found the same number too,
You resolved it?
and found the same number, just to
Okay.
verify.
We did the same thing. We resolved it just because we were really close, and it's like, okay, are we right on that edge? We first tried it using sensitivity report because that was the focus of this chapter, is to try to answer these things. Then we were sitting there going, well, that's a really, this is 0.000, lots of zeros, 88. That's really close. Does that matter? But
Okay. Did you increase the decimal points?
I-
Decimal digits yourself?
no, it automatically did that. That's the generated sensitivity report from.
Ours had a lot more significant figures. So our total value was 3,000. That's why you're not getting 3,000.
Yeah, we're really close with it. It's off a little bit, but
It's actually the same. It's the allowable increase is, if you just think about the allowable increase of 1.75. And this is exactly what it's increased, right? So what do you guys think if suppose there is no 88 there?
there you go.
Suppose there is no 88 at the end, so the allowable increase is just 1.75, 0.00000. What do you think when you increase the price to the same amount, by the same amount? What happens?
The solution shouldn't change, should it? That should be.
The solution shouldn't change, right?
It shouldn't. If we increased it even a small fraction more, then you'd have a problem. But
Right.
At that, it shouldn't, because that's the value.
It shouldn't change,
It
right?
shouldn't change.
Okay. But when you resolve the problem, did the solution change?
Not for us.
Not for you. Okay. What about you guys? Did the solution change for you? No? Okay. Okay. If your solution changed, that means it's what? Alternative solution. Good. Good. So for this problem, if you have the same solution, that's good. if we have the different solution, you look at the objective function value, it's the same. It should be around the 3,000, and the other solution you get is alternative solution. Okay, so this is a case when you just increase the amount exactly the same as allowable increase, and you are just at the edge where all the points on that line are alternative solutions. And you probably have just the solution, like before you change it, your Excel has a solution, right? And when you change the value, rerun it, the algorithm, like the way the algorithm said, it won't go to further. It just reports that value as the solution, even though all the other points on that line are alternative solutions. Okay, good.
And that's due to the fact that if we reran the sensitivity report, this would be, the allowable increase would be 0.
Right, if you rerun it, allowable increase will be 0.
So that would tell us right there that we have
Yes.
alternative solutions.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. Okay, good. Any questions from you guys?
Any other questions?
No? Okay.
All right.
So, yeah, I'll give you a hand.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys. Oops.
I'll take it.
Do that.
Yeah, okay, so I just give you some comments. I've already asked all my questions along the way. First, slide numbers, please.
I'm so sorry.
That's the thing I talked about last time, right? You should have slide numbers. And the only comment I had is like, I think it's on your very first, I'll just go to the first slide. It's just a very minor thing, but why you guys have problem variables here? These are given numbers, right? So probably just like problem statement or something like, and then you have those variables here, right? So I just have a problem with this title here. Okay. Yeah, and that's just for the slides. And I like how you grouped the questions. Say, okay, like these are the general questions asking the solutions, and these are what. So I really like that the way you group them and talk about like in general what are they, and then answer the questions. And I also like the way that you use the sensitivity analysis report, like point to it. That's the way expected. So like in your report too, you point to the specific portion of that sensitivity analysis report. Use like a border, say, okay, these are the numbers we use, and answer the questions. And I think you did a great job. Except for that one part, I think like should use the reduced cost. I think you answered all the questions correctly. Oh, and the one small error, just the calculation error. Yeah, yeah, and for all the parts that can be answered using the sensitivity analysis report, you did say like how to calculate that, and for the part that cannot be answered using the sensitivity report, you did mention that, okay, we need to rerun the model to solve it. Okay, so great job.